markets today are way down, the worst day in years because of the tariff. So how's it going? I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
Well, it depends. If somebody said that we're going to give you something that's so phenomenal, as long as they're giving us something that's good. For instance, with TikTok as an example, we have a situation with TikTok where China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something on the tariff?
But there are still some barriers to entry, and we asked in their survey, what do you think the barriers to entries are? Difficulty understanding the new technology. More than a third said they just don't understand what this is. And again, the NCA, we hope to serve as the platform, that educational resource to educate everyday Americans who are crypto curious. There are there's a negative perception around fraud and scams, and we will address that. About a third are concerned with that, but only, and I put only in quotation marks but for those who are actually impacted, it's very serious. Only 6% of those who own crypto have actually been subject to a scam or a fraud. It'd be interesting to see, and I don't have the statistic off the top of my head, what that translates into for traditional financial services. But again, having now learned that, the NCA will be smarter and say, okay, Americans who own or use crypto, we need to teach them a little bit more how to be smarter in terms of using the platform and guard against frauds and scams. And then lastly, regulatory challenges, the regulatory uncertainty. About a third of the respondents said, there's just a lot of regulatory uncertainty out there when it comes to this space. And although the NCA is apolitical, we're not going to be lobbying. We are emboldened by the momentum that is now built up in Congress and with this administration to finally get some good, sensible market structure regulation out there. And I think with smart regulation will come trust, and with trust will become we'll see more adoption.
Stocks, classics, the tax, the enterprise software, the cyclicals, consumer discretionaries, but you have to pare them back because they don't work in this new world. And maybe when they get that much lower, but not yet, and maybe the president changes his mind. He seemed to give a little wiggle room this evening, but we don't know, okay? Only with phenomenal opportunities, maybe? All right, now we saw exactly what we're seeing today in April of 2000 when we recognized that the dot-com era was over. So you had to sell Qualcomm and Cisco and WorldCom, to say nothing of the newly minted dot-coms, most of which went under. In return, what did you have to do? You had to go buy Bristol-Myers, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, textbook slowdown stocks. It was painful because it was too simple, and it happened over a week. Too ridiculous, but it worked as the dot-com implosion spared none of the old favorites. I was so bummed. I'd feasted off of Intel and Microsoft for years, but also off of tech junk like InfoSpace, Copper Mountain. Next thing you know, I'm discovering the wonders of the drug middlemen like McKesson. What a nightmare. But it worked. After dumping tech and bulking up on the slowdown stocks, my hedge fund finished up bad year, up 36%. We pulled it off because we recognized that the world had changed. Tech valuations had gotten too high while the fundamentals were falling apart. That good news is that's not happening in tech this time. Tech is good. Now we're just trying to find a price. Now, because of these brutal tariffs, we're facing a similar moment, though. About a dozen groups worked in 2000. So I'm going to dust off that 2000 playbook that I have, okay? I know it's 25 years ago, but I still have it, with stocks that investors will be willing to pay up for because their earnings won't disappoint even in a bad economy.
Who are the winners and the losers of these tariffs? Who are they going to be?
So the big winner, and first, thanks for having me, Stuart, always.
The big winner is everything that's outside of America. The fact of the matter is, you just look overnight, ever since the election, non-U.S. stocks have been doing better than U.S. stocks. You look overnight at the reaction, and of course, you never sell in a panic. But fact of the matter is, said simply, overseas markets have gone down pretty much consistently less than American markets. Some are actually up.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Trump on the stock market. He admits it was an operation. Operation tanked the markets and moved the money in the back door. He says things are going well because we know it's time to build that fourth industrial revolution. And he says he's willing to negotiate these tariffs. And remember, guys, these tariffs haven't even been applied yet. But a lot of these stocks are back to 2020. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have Ripple going over the barriers to getting the masses over to crypto. Of course, one of them is educating the masses. They're not going to educate them on the technology. We know they're going to make it seamless before they bring it to the masses. But regulation will definitely bring trust and then also bring trillions of dollars in those money market accounts and pension funds. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have Jim Cramer speaking on the New World. Some of these stocks are not going to make it. And if you're not centered around the fourth industrial revolution, we know you're not going to make it. So if you're looking at starting a small business, make sure it's centered around the fourth industrial revolution. If you already have a small business, make sure you implement the tools of the fourth industrial revolution. The key is educating yourself. So therefore, you don't fall for the devil's tricks. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And the big winners of these tariffs are what? The countries outside the U.S. And we know China has already prepared for this. They've been moving the goods to the emerging markets. And will the 10-year yield break 3%? If it does, it's not going to last long. We clearly see the manipulation. If it wasn't manipulated, this market would have crashed a whole lot more. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have China looking to retaliate. But remember, guys, they've already retaliated. They've already moved the goods. All these good, cheap goods, they moved them. And then on top of it, Trump closed the loophole for the cheap goods. And don't forget, Janet Yellen had already advised us what was about to happen. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Bill Gross says these tariffs are being compared to when we got off the gold standard in 1971 with Nixon. And remember, every move that Trump is making is to get us moved over to this fourth industrial revolution. And it's going to be painful, but they need to move us over with plenty of distractions so the sheep have no clue. And by the time they do wake up, the machines will be here. The robots, algorithms, and drones take this economy over, and the sheep are going inside the metaverse. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have Ken Fisher speaking about Trump's golden age. And he breaks it down. 2 questions. Gold and then the tactics. And yes, guys, remember, the central banks are buying up the gold because the piece of the money supply will be backed by gold. Not the whole money supply, but a percentage of it. The central banks are not buying up gold like they are for no reason. And then we have these tariffs bringing economic Armageddon. And we know the trade war, currency war is coming. Because like I stated, these tariffs are not going to hurt China. They've already moved the goods. And then on top of it, they can manipulate their currency. They've been doing it forever. So again, only thing that's happening right now is the United States is isolating itself. And that's going to hurt the United States dollar because we already know the BRICS nations, the Middle East, are making their way off the dollar. So the dollar is going to get devalued, lose that world reserve currency. And of course, we have the rise of the BRICS nations led by China with that digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Gilbert, is the 10-year going to 3%?
It is going to break 3% much sooner than we think. Probably by tomorrow, it's going to break through the 4 handle. My view is a little bit different, if you don't mind, which is I think this was inevitable. I think that there's been chaos going on in Washington now for the last couple of months. I think already we've been seeing consumer confidence roll over. I think we've already seen money supply kind of languish at kind of low levels. And I think this was inevitable. And I believe we're going to look back in time at this era, and we're going to call it something like the way we look at COVID, the way we look at the S&L crisis for people as old as I am, the way we look at long-term capital, and we're going to look back and say those were the trade wars. And I think it's just the beginning. And I think what you see today is just a buildup of essentially correcting the overvaluation that has existed for the last really 2 years.
Countermeasures, and based on what we've seen of the Chinese responses in the previous rounds, the expectation is that they're not only going to hit back with counter tariffs, but also with their expanded retaliation toolbox. So this would potentially include tighter export controls for more critical minerals, as well as going after individual U.S. companies. In fact, Macquarie said that they expect Beijing to go that route as part of a broader effort to try to support Chinese suppliers and push more of the cost onto U.S. customers. If you guys remember, I'm sure you do, that Walmart was summoned by Beijing to end that practice of pressuring the Chinese suppliers. Another big point that people have been talking about today is that there could be a larger than expected devaluation of the renminbi in order to try to help the Chinese suppliers. But I think the big point is that it's very unclear what else the Chinese would be able to do to really offset a 70% tariff. And that's one of the reasons why Citi is expecting that the economy here is going to get hit by 2.4% this year.
Yesterday, in terms of the tariffs, it's a similar event to the gold standard, going off the gold standard in 1971. It's an epic event. It's not something where you can time quickly for a market bottom. It's something that we're going to have to live with as long as President Trump continues with his stance. And your prior guest talked about a Trump put and when he might change his mind. I think we have a similarity here with World War I, where there was an event and there were alliances and there were countries that couldn't pull back from what they had said and done before. And so we have that situation similar here. It's all related and dependent to my way of thinking on President Trump, but I don't think he's going to back down. President Trump, to be very blunt, is a macho male, and this macho male is not going to back down tomorrow simply because the Nasdaq's down 5%.
Are you on board with the president's goal here? I'm not asking, this is not a political question, it's an economic question. Are you on board with his goal of creating a new golden age, and tariffs are his way of maneuvering us into that position? You on board with this?
So you asked two questions at once. One is about the goal, the other is about the tactics. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him think. And the fact of the matter is, as Forrest Gump would say, stupid is as stupid does. This is not good. The question for stocks is whether it's worse than people think, better than people think, or about the same. The fact is there's a bunch of ways this ball can bounce. I don't really know which way it will, but most of them lead to, I mean, a lot of this is just impossible, Stuart. It can't happen. The government agency, the CBP, the subset of the CBP that collect tariffs doesn't have the capacity to collect these tariffs. This is all going to just lead to negotiation, which may go this way, may go that way. Read what people are saying overseas. You said some of that earlier. There's a lot of ways this ball can bounce, but I think it'll probably bounce to the positive side because there'll be a lot of negotiation.
Just what happens to brand America
around the globe where even the software has to be sold, no?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's essentially an economic Armageddon. You know, if these tariffs stayed in place...
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.